There's a peculiar kind of silence that falls over the woods just after sunset. It's not a peaceful quiet, but a heavy, waiting stillness. The birds have stopped their singing and the wind holds its breath. It was on an evening like this, in the deep, pine-scented heart of the Blackwood, that a man named Arthur learned the hard way why you should never answer a whistle that comes from the dark. Arthur was a practical man, a surveyor by trade. He didn't believe in ghosts or ghouls. He believed in maps, measurements, and the solid weight of his axe on his belt. He almost chuckled, remembering the old man at the supply store in the nearest town. While ringing up his provisions, the man had eyed his gear and asked where he was headed. When Arthur mentioned the Blackwood, the old man's face had clouded over. "Don't you go listening for the whistler out there," he'd rasped. "Plays a pretty tune, but you don't want to see who's playing it." Arthur had just nodded politely, dismissing it as the ramblings of a superstitious local. He was camping alone, finalizing the boundaries for a new logging access road. His fire was a tiny, defiant jewel against an ocean of shadows. That's when he first heard it. It wasn't a bird. It was too clean, too melodic. A simple, four-note tune carried on the chill air from somewhere deep within the trees. It sounded cheerful. And in that oppressive silence, the cheerfulness was utterly terrifying. Arthur froze, his hand hovering over his coffee pot. He stared into the impenetrable wall of blackness beyond his firelight. The rational part of his mind scrambled for an explanation. A lost hiker, a trick of the wind. But the tune came again, closer this time. The same four notes, clear and sharp. Do, 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 do. He stood up, his heart beginning to drum a frantic rhythm against his ribs. "Hello?" he called out, his voice swallowed by the trees. The whistling stopped instantly. The following silence was even worse. It felt attentive, like something was now listening and waiting. For an hour, nothing happened. Arthur tried to laugh it off, chiding himself for his jumpiness. He banked his fire and retreated to his tent, zipping the flap shut. He lay in his sleeping bag, ears straining, hearing only the frantic pounding of his own blood. Then a chill that had nothing to do with the night air seeped into the tent, raising goosebumps on his skin. It felt like a block of ice had been placed just outside the thin canvas. And then, right outside his tent, the whistling started again. It was so close he could hear the faint intake of breath between the notes. The hair on his arms stood up. Fear, cold and sharp, flooded his system. This was no hiker, this was something else. A low, raspy voice whispered through the canvas, so close it could have been lying right beside him. "I'm lost. I heard your voice. Can you come out and help me?" Every instinct in Arthur's body screamed, no. This was wrong. This was a lure. He remained silent, trembling, praying for the thing to go away. The voice sighed, a sound like dry leaves skittering across stone. "Fine. If you won't come out, I'll come in." The zipper on the tent flap began to move, slowly. Zip! An inch at a time. Arthur watched in paralyzed horror as the teeth of the zipper separated, revealing a sliver of the dark night outside. He fumbled for his axe, his hands slick with sweat. But as the opening grew wider, he didn't see a face. He saw only darkness, a deep, absolute blackness that seemed to drink the very light from his dying fire. The whistling started once more, but this time it was inside the tent with him, the four-note tune right by his ear. He never screamed. When the search party found his campsite 3 days later, the only thing out of place was his tent. It was still zipped shut from the inside, and carved into the frozen ground, circling the tent like a perfect barrier, were footprints. But they weren't human. They were long, slender, with 3 distinct toes, like the tracks of some enormous, twisted bird. So, the next time you're out in the deep woods and the silence falls heavy and you hear a cheerful whistle from the shadows, remember Arthur, and whatever you do, don't answer it. So, a simple 4-note tune is all it took. It makes you wonder what you would do in that situation. Would your curiosity get the better of you? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to hear more stories that will make you think twice about the dark, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. The notification bell is your only warning for when the next story drops. Thanks for watching, and whatever you do, don't whistle back.